Hi everyone, this is BritSimon. So I want to talk to you today about a subject which is going to be of concern to people in DV 2021. And just at the outset, let me just make sure people understand this. I'm going to speculate about what's going to happen in DV 2021 in the remaining time and what KCC's position is, what the government's position is. I don't know any of this for a fact. I'm purely speculating here with a little bit of background, knowledge, but also putting things together. And so, this isn't fact. It's not certainty. It's speculation, right? I could be wrong. There's other ways to interpret what I'm seeing. If you can't open your mind to having that speculation and you want only certainties, then I suggest you switch off this video and look at something else. Go look at some puppy dog videos or something, right? But otherwise, if you'd like to hear about about what I'm seeing, excuse me, I need some water. If you'd like to hear about what I'm seeing and how I'm interpreting it, then stay with me. So firstly, before I go anywhere, I've been told to do this differently. So do something for me right now. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel and go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, like as well. That would help me out. Thank you. But do make sure you're subscribed, please. Okay, so the question in my mind is whether it's become clear that KCC have abandoned or moved past DV 2021 and whether without any legal impacts from Judge Mehta, whether they'll continue to schedule cases in September or not. And there are a few things that I've seen that kind of give me cause for concern. That makes me think that KCC have basically decided they've done as much as they are prepared to do. Now, firstly, I should say, we wouldn't normally, in any normal year, we wouldn't still be talking about scheduling September interviews. Within a few days from now, just after the VB is released, we're supposed to see DV 2022 interviews being scheduled, for October. That's the position we're in. That's the point of time we're in. All of the interviews for September should have been completed at the end of, by the end of July, right? They should have been scheduled by the end of July. That's the normal procedure. I speculated in a live session a few days ago that we might see some more 2NLs released over the next week to 2 weeks. And I was really hoping so. And I've been holding my breath, but we're not really seeing very many 2NLs being arranged. And whilst there might be a few more, it seems like there's evidence that suggests that that they've moved past DV 2021. So let me tell you the things that I've seen that make me feel that way. Right. First piece of evidence. I'm aware that there are some DV 2022 cases beginning to get documentarily qualified emails. Right. Funnily enough, I hadn't heard of any people receiving the email saying, please send in your documents. But I think the message has got through to a lot of people that they should proactively send in documents. And based on that, KCC documents department have been processing the documents for DV 2022 cases. So there are at least some cases, and I don't know what number ranges, or I don't know anything about them, but there are going to be some cases which are documentarily qualified for DV 2022 already. Okay, they would have been cases that submitted their DS260 pretty fast and documents pretty quickly, and so have been processed already. That's the first piece of evidence. And if you understand the perspective of KCC and the documents department, they have made clear in a recent declaration that they already have 10,000 cases, just over 20,000 people who are documentarily qualified in DV 2022, sorry, in DV 2021, beg your pardon, And of course, there is not enough time to schedule all of those people. They have up to now, they've been moving because all cases are current, and therefore the case number doesn't matter. They've been scheduling cases in the order in which the cases became documentarily qualified. So basically, if you weren't documentarily qualified a few months ago, you have little or no chance of being scheduled in, before the end of September. That's the reality. And it has been something I've been telling people for quite some time now. Certainly weeks, perhaps months. I've been explaining that, that concept to people. Okay, so there's 10,000 people documentarily qualified, 10,000 cases documentarily qualified in DV 2021. We see evidence that they're documentarily qualifying cases in DV 2022. Okay. That just right there tells you they've got enough people, more than enough people, DV 2021 to schedule. They can't schedule them all, and they've moved on to DV 2022. That in itself would probably be enough. We're not seeing 2NLs coming out. We're seeing, there was a note from Curtis today about the Sri Lanka embassy have cancelled all the interviews after August the 11th. And the wording of their notice was really odd. It said something about being allowed, we'll contact cases if we are allowed to schedule more cases. Who's allowing them? Who's making that decision to say whether they're allowed or not allowed to schedule cases? That seemed kind of bizarre. And to suddenly cancel today all cases after today that had already been scheduled, that's pretty bizarre, right? So what's that about? We don't really know what that is about. But again, that to me suggests that there is some decision that's been taken that, we're not going to work very hard on DV 2021 anymore, right? And then finally, the other piece of evidence is again something that Curtis posted, which is in the Rai v. Biden case. There are about 10 applicants who are not documentarily qualified, and the government have told Curtis and Raphael that those cases are not going to get interviews before the end of the year because they're not documentarily qualified. And to an extent, if unless a judge ordered to give priority to those people, then it would be appropriate or correct that KCC stick to their current scheduling methodology, which is based on the date in which you became documentarily qualified. In which case, they could, if they suddenly cleared up the documents for those 10 cases, how could they justify jumping those cases in front of everybody else? They really couldn't, unless a judge has told them to do exactly that, right? And so that being said, those cases in the Rai versus Biden case, not all of the cases in that case, but the ones that are not documentarily qualified, they basically are on notice that they're not going to get an interview. All right. So it appears to me, based on some pieces of evidence, which I just explained to you, that KCC and the government have basically moved on past DV 2021. Unless they're told to do something differently by Judge Mehta or another judge potentially, unless they're told specifically to do something differently, they're not going to do anything else on DV 2021. We might see a handful of interviews being scheduled now, but it's not going to be very many. We've got, let me just check. In terms of the numbers that we've got right now, we have, I think, just over 7,000. Let me just see. Right, so 7,130 cases in the system that are beyond at NVC. They are either ready, or they're issued, or they're refused, or they're in transit, or whatever. There are 7,130 cases, which is around about 14,000 people, a little bit more than 14,000 people, right? And so of those, 5,700 have already been issued. 6,500 are ready. Ready meaning they're probably scheduled for interview over the next few weeks already, or they've already been interviewed. There could be some that have been interviewed and just the embassy haven't updated their case. And so we would expect to see some of those cases refused, just because there's always a percentage of cases being refused. There's 1,300 cases refused already, and then 290 or so in AP. Okay, so that tells me that we're probably going to see something like 12,000 visas being issued. And effectively 43,000 visas will be wasted. Okay, so that's the position. The government seems happy, to have that result. They seem to be suggesting to the court all the time that they've done their best, and given COVID, what more could they do? Blah blah blah. That's their position. They're fine with issuing 13,000 visas for the year, right? Add in a few adjustment of status cases. We're not going over 15,000. Okay. So, so the lawsuits going through at the moment are absolutely critical. It's clear that the government are not going to help all of you in DV 2021 by 30th of September this year, unless the lawsuits can achieve some sort of preservation of visas, some extension of time, effectively. Then this will be the result in DV 2021. And I think people need to sort of start coming to terms with that. And I've been saying for some time, for quite some time, the only hope left now are the lawsuits. And only in the lawsuits, the only hope left is a preservation of visas. That's the only real hope here, because we're not going to suddenly see a burst of activity as we saw in September of 2020 based on Judge Mehta telling the government to do something. We're just not. I think we need to be realistic about that. The conditions this year are different to those of last year. They had been totally stopped last year, and Judge Mehta told them to do something. This year, they haven't been totally stopped, and they're justifying their workload and their activity based on COVID and the prioritization scheme. And so Judge Mehta, I don't believe, is going to say, okay, you've got 4-6 weeks remaining. I want to see you issuing 5,000 visas every week. That's just that's a dream. That's just not going to happen. It's not realistic. Forget it. That's not going to happen. So we're clearly going to see a very low number of visas issued by the end of September, and like I say, the only hope remaining now is that the lawsuits can achieve some preservation of those visas. There's also the Meng amendments. They may come off. Meng Amendment number 1 is interesting, but there's by no means a certainty, and probably a less than 50% chance that that piece of legislation actually becomes law. It is, what I'm hearing is it's likely to be traded out of the final bill, and so won't make it into law. But we'll see how that goes, right? So really the preservation of visas is where it's at with Judge Mehta. So I hope you all understand the rationale for what I'm saying here. I'm not trying to scare people. I'm trying to give people fair and honest information, and just so you can begin to get mentally prepared for what's about to happen, and that we can focus on the lawsuits as opposed to wishful thinking and nonsense thinking, frankly. So people can focus in the right direction there. So I'd be interested to hear from you as to whether you agree or you disagree. I think some of you may be seeing the same things I am, and perhaps had the same sort of thoughts that I have. And there's probably other pieces of evidence that you may have seen as well that give the same or similar impression. Or maybe you think I'm entirely wrong, and maybe you think that the world is about to have a nice, happy, sunny day, and KCC are suddenly going to issue loads of 2NLs over the coming days. But I don't think that's the reality. Okay, so I'm hoping that's all making sense at least. I hope this video was helpful and interesting to you. Let me know, as I say, let me know what your thoughts are. Have I got it right or have I got it wrong? I'd be interested to know what you're thinking. Just speculation. All of this is just speculation on my part right now. And, you know, I'd be the happiest guy in the world to see, you know, a bunch of 2NLs being sent out over the next few days to make me wrong, as it were. I would love that. You know, absolutely, I would love that. But I just don't feel like that's what KCC have got up their sleeves. I don't think that's what they're trying to do. There is one more thing. In normal times, they give a case around about 6 or 7 weeks of notice before the interview to prepare documents, to have the medical, and to be ready for the interview. They've cut that down to about 4 weeks at the moment, and they have been doing that for a little bit. And they actually even stated that Morgan Miles's declaration refers to cutting it down to what they see as about the minimum of being 4 weeks. But there is a natural limit that you really can't break very easily. I can't give you an interview appointment on the 25th of September, telling you to turn up on the 28th of September, and for you to be totally ready, because you can't get a medical report in time, you can't get a medical appointment, you can't get the report, you probably can't get your documents together. You know, it just is not possible. And then we can't, you know, we can't expect them to issue visas in very short order after that as well. Actually, there is one thing I wanted to check. Okay, so the final day of September is a Thursday, which is a good day for us, actually. It gives us the full week. It's not like it falls on a weekend or something. So that's a working day all around the world. And you know, at least we'll be able to continue working up until the 30th. But like I say, interviews that happen on the 30th of September, they're technically possible to get issued, but there's absolutely no time for mistakes, obviously. You must go fully documented, you know, with all your documents fully prepared, your medical. There's no time for any wasting time afterwards. And if there's any document you're missing, then your case is ruined. So, you know, please, if you do get a September interview, consider yourself very lucky and make sure you prepare as well as you possibly can, because that's probably going to be your one and only shot at getting your green card. Okay. Okay, everybody. Thanks for listening in. And a bit of a sombering topic, but like I said, I feel like I had to explain. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye now.